this area is concerned. So these are some of the examples what I said, our engagement with the industry partners, and also next thing is incubation. So we have had a success story where a company has been incubated in our center. And what we say, our center is not only an R&D center, but R&D and M center. M stands for manufacturing. As far as this, the focus of this company was on making anti-counterfeiting tags. And in January, about a year ago, we had 1 lakh tags which are manufactured in our center, which was sent to the different places for the testing. So this is one company which has been incubated, and this particular company, Transpax, won the Best Promising Startup Award 2017 from the Indian Electronic and Semiconductor Association. So there are other activities which are in the pipeline as far as incubation is concerned, and as they mature, we'll be very happy to share that news with you. Now, very quickly, what I will do is I'll just give a brief overview of the different things which are happening in the center. One is on inks and printing. So there are different inks, primarily focusing on silver and copper. These are things which I want to show here. Conductive textiles, you see that there are different applications as far as conductive textiles is concerned. And in fact, there's one company in Kanpur which is now deeply involved in this activity. So what I would like to say is that not only we are working with industry across the world, but also we have a focus on trying to connect with the local industry of Kanpur. Because being in Kanpur, we strongly believe that we have a responsibility, social responsibility towards working for industry in Kanpur. Printing, we have different kinds of printers, and with that, we have a competence or capability of supporting different kinds of activities. One of them, what I would like to share with you, which is called Warm Hug. There's a printed jacket, which has been, again, designed and made here in our center. Now we are doing some trials with our SIS guards. So we have now received good feedback from them, and now we are going to take it, and there's a company which is interested in this, taking this further. And now we are looking for a scale-up for these kind of warm jackets. Another activity is OLEDs, and in fact, this was the prime activity on which the center started. This was the technology was developed in 2005, and since then, technology has moved. Now, apart from passive matrix, there's a dot matrix printing and there's 7-segment displays. And now we are making, our team colleagues are making flexible OLEDs on different applications like flexible glass, woven fabric, and all these things. Another area is TFTs, because that becomes the backbone for many of the other applications. So right now we are being able to make these flexible TFTs, and this for different applications for the MFM and MSFM devices. Sensors, we are working on different sensors, thermal sensors, gas sensor, aqueous metal ion sensor, biomarker sensors for different applications, including diagnostics, wearable electronics, and packaging. One, as I mentioned, the thermal sensors was for this wearable device for biophysical signals, and that was what we're working with this multinational company out here. We're also having this biosensors for different applications, and this, again, we have developed a dual gate ISFET technology. And what I would like to share is that this dual gate ISFET technology is the first in the country, and that has been developed in our center. Again, aqueous metal ion sensors for different applications, gas sensors, and we again working with different companies on these applications. Another area is organic photovoltaics. The primary substrate target is paper. We have successfully demonstrated on glass and PET. Now we are going for paper because of environmental applications, and then several systems also have been demonstrated here. Now I would like to go to skill development. Skill development, as I mentioned, one of the objectives of our center was to make workforce for the industry. So these are the number, but this is a dynamic number. So far, we have trained about 110 people from our center, and there's a large number of PhD students, master students who have graduated, who have been working in this area. In addition to that, we have got an annual short course on flexible electronics. It's very popular. I'm just saying this from 2015 onwards, although the short course started from the year 2004 in a different name. But we started focusing on flexible electrons from 2015. So we have people from the industry, and we have, from the research scholars, the PhD students, faculty and scientists from different organizations, from the industries. And we are getting a lot of requests to have these kind of courses done at different times of the year in different places, because of bandwidth limitations, we are not able to do that. Now, we have had a strong industry outreach. Our focus is on working with the industry, working for the industry. So what we have reached to about 50, when we started our activity, we went to about 1,500 industries or even more. Just made cold calls, just telling them what the center is about. We got about initially a 20% response. And from there, we have had a funnel system, a funnel response. So now we have about, this is about 14 members. This needs to be updated, 14 members, and several NDAs have been signed. And we expect many more industry members to come up as far as our center is concerned. So now, being alumni of IIT Kanpur, I'm sure this must have come to you that, okay, IIT Kanpur is a hike, who will go to IIT Kanpur? When we had our industry meets, we got saying that, okay, had you had this thing in Bombay or Delhi, we would have come, but IIT Kanpur, who will go? We said, okay, fine, if you don't come to us, we will go to you. So what we had round table and road shows in different places in India. The similar positioning, that's what we did. We called the industry people and told, this is what this center is about. We are focusing on industrial engagement and incubation in the center. And also, we actively participate in industry trade shows, both in the country as well as outside the country. We are also part of different industry associations, both within the country and outside the country. And we have gone and evangelized and publicized what we do, what are the capabilities of this center. So these are the photographs of some of the industries in which what we have had. And just to summarize, the center is working at the frontiers of R&D in large-scale flexible electronics, and we have very strong alignment with the industry. And we look forward, and one of the mainstays is a collaborative partnership between academia and industries. The focus is to transform promising ideas into proof of concept devices and make them market ready, and also have incubation from our center, and finally facilitating prototypes in collaboration with the industry. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention. And please stay in touch with us through our website, where we routinely update what we do. And I'll be very happy to answer any questions or any information you might need.
Any questions?
Sure. Thank you again. Sure.
So some trivia is that the company which they incubated is also a faculty company. First time a faculty actually launched the company. He's also an Deepak Gupta is the one who started this, pushed this, created the company, which is into the second round of venture funding. So outside now it is worth about, I think, more than 60, 70 crores valuation, going on to 100 crores. So that is one thing. And that industry participation which they have done in the outreach, the members essentially pay membership fee for getting the first look at what we develop. And that money goes into an endowment so that you can further, so it is, in a sense, it is on a self-sustainable mode, because the funding will go off. So it's on a self-sustainable mode. So these are some trivia in the sense that where we are actually going. I think one of the most successful faculty companies came from this center.
Yeah, so we are coming back to the ceremonial part. The institute wants to put a shawl or something like that on all of us. So, why? So you say that.
And not felicitate you, not facilitate. We did the facilitation part till now. We want to felicitate you. We want you to take back a memory from here that we really like you. And we'll be sending the rest of the stuff to Goa so that on our behalf, you can actually give it to our Goan friends who wanted to have Goa.
Okay.
And wear it and then get a picture and send it back to us.
Sure. So I'm going to call all of y'all one by one. Please come as soon as possible. We are running late. Ajit, Vashi. Pradeep Bhargav is going to do the honors for us.
Yeah.
So Pradeep Bhargav, our alumni president, is going to do the honors.
Yeah.
So Ajit Vashi, please, with your spouse.
If your spouse is there, please. Yeah.
Anand Jagannathan, Anil Chaudhary, Anil Kejriwal.
You are alone?
Sorry. Yeah.
यहाँ खड़े हो जाओ. थोड़ा आगे आ जाओ. हो गया. गिरीश को नहीं बताइए क्या है?
Anil Kejriwal, please.
So are you related?
Kejriwal.
You are Delhi guy? Thank you.
Thanks.
Anup Singh Bais with his wife, Shashi. We're doing this alphabetically.
Thank you.
Shashi ji, Arvind call. Arvind call. Ashutosh Garg with his wife, Inu.
हो गया. आप बताना चाहिए हो गया बोल. Done? Yeah. Thank you.
Kamesh Iyer.
Sir, welcome. After last week, we finally are able to do something for a morning. Yes, that is great to hear. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Keshav Chandra. Though he didn't pass out with us, we have 50 years of association with him. He joined IIT Kanpur with us.
You mean he didn't pass out?
He went on to greener pastures.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Lawrence and Jyoti, friends.
His brother studied with me.
Thank you.
Mukund and Rekha Shure.
Thank you.
Nandkishore Patke.
Aren't you in the picture? Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Nankumar Narayan Kulkarni. Rajiv and Aarti Bhatnagar.
Thank you.
Sharad and Priyamada Hapure. Arvind Paul.
हो गया
Is Jagu back in the hall?
आजकल पता ही नहीं लगता
Jagu. And yours truly, JP, now Jatan and Rajeshwari.
और आगे कोई अरे एक मिस हो गई ना
Dean and Om also come.
या द किड्स आल्सो
Thank you very much.
बच्चों के लिए अरे सबको भी अरे क्या You always do this. खड़े हो जाओ हो गया फोटो जब से हमारे पीछे लगे तो मेरा 2-3 किलो का वजन कम हो गया
Is Jagu here?
You have the next part of the program?
Yes.
So we have what else?
Imagineering Labs.
Okay, good evening to you all. The name Imagineering was initiated by Professor Fani when he was SIIC coordinator. The idea behind this lab is students can imagine and then do engineering of their thought, get things developed into a product. So that's what is the name called as Imagineering Lab. So what are all part of this Imagineering Lab is central workshop, which was earlier existing. Then we have integrated 4i, which was started by Professor Dande. We have integrated that lab also into it. And then we have also established a tinkering lab. So in this tinkering lab, we have all mix of machines. In 4i lab, we have all CNC machines. And in the central workshop, like whatever general purpose machines are there, we have just lined it up. So this is all under one umbrella. And we have been catering to the needs of undergrad, postgrad, PhD scholars for their research. And those students who come up with an idea of developing, converting their virtual thoughts into a product, we have been helping them left and right for it. We have, in the recent past, in the last 3-4 years, we have got something around about, or more than 25 patents students generated from here where we were involved in part of it. So if you think of from the conventional machines which can do metal working, plastic working, as well as on the higher end we have CNC and rapid prototyping machines. So this is our gamut. And for undergraduate students, what have we done? Undergraduate students today, we have increased their level of competition. Earlier they were only competing within the country. Now we have pushed them across the globe. So now they go for competitions in Japan, in Europe, and US to present their thoughts and products. So we have been working in the recent past for unmanned air vehicles in several competitions. Then robotics, we have been working. And the third one is automobile. So BAMA and all those competitions, SAE competitions they do. And lastly, we have also started integrating for the social cause. We have started working for rural technology. So very recently, we took a focus around about Pratapgarh, where there is a lot of Amla is getting harvested there. So we wanted to work along with the small MSMEs, which they convert these Amla into products which they have worth of 50 crore business across the globe. So they wanted to automate their processing, which we started working along with them. We started making a pricking machine. So the case study goes like this. If you want, for every Amla you prick, you get 10 paisa. So if you want to make 200 rupees for just a family to exist, so you have to do so many in number. So first the wife starts working on it, or the mother starts working on it. Mother else, pain goes high. So then child gets involved. So child stops going to school. Then if there is a second child, he also gets associated. And finally, the husband also gets associated. So the entire family works for only 200 rupees. So we came up with some manually assisted technology, wherein which we can prick batches of Amla. And then when we start crushing it, not crushing it, we prick it through jaws moving up and down, and it is passed by. So we did all these calculations, and then we came out with a machine which we demonstrated to them. So they have accepted it. That was one product which we developed here. The other interesting product what we developed was Amla Grating. The interesting part of Amla to grate is Amla has a seed in between. So when we grate it, the seed should not be grated. So the existing grating techniques will not work. So we came up with a funnel wherein which we had all these things around the funnel and we pushed it down. So it got grated. So that was another product which we developed. The third thing was bale cutting. So bale cutting was pretty interesting. It has a very hard shell and a soft core. So if you apply the continuously same force, so it will get damaged. The bale also, the inside part, soft core also gets damaged. So we worked on it several iterations, and then we figured out a method, and we developed a product for that. So these three products have been very successfully accepted by people, but of course we have an academic limitation. We could not talk to industry to take it further. So these are the success stories we, in terms of social cause, we did it. And in all these competitions in the recent past, whatever happened in robotics, we came third. IIT Kanpur came third. So earlier we were never even participating, thanks to Funny and as well as the new director who has taken over. He has given us a grant of 1.5 crores exclusively for undergraduate students participating in these competitions. So this is all about us, and I have taken over before 6 months, working hard. We have restructured, and on top of it, we have now slowly started working on skill development. So what we do is we try to work with ITI. IIT working with ITI, we have started doing it. So we pick up near and dear by colleges, private colleges, JK, ITI. We call them here. We teach them CNC. We ask them to work on our machines. We allow them to be part of us. End of the day, we give them a certificate, and we also try to upgrade them. And we have also, thanks to Funny once again, we have also opened a scheme. All those staff members, mess workers whose wards are interested to upgrade their skills, we have opened it free for them. So they can come here, work for 6 months, and whatever small money we can pay, we pay a stipend, and rest all we give them a certificate, fix them for a good job. So these are some of the things which we are doing it for the reach out. So that's it about Imagineering Lab.
Essentially, about 8 years back, or maybe even earlier, So there was always this complaint that the students actually, at that time there was used to be this internally sharing network where you download stuff for free and watch it. Okay, so and all the movies and otherwise they go on social media. So the question which everybody forgot to ask is, why are they doing it? I mean, is there some available avenue where they could actually spend their spare time productively? If they don't have, then they would naturally gravitate towards this. So we said, okay, if somebody gets an idea, he got excited with something he was taught in the class in the morning, suddenly wants to get his hands dirty in the evening when normally they are awake, you don't have a place to go in IIT Kanpur because the regular labs will not be accessible, you have a lot of paperwork to go through and all that stuff. So we went to DST at that point in time, and then they said we want to give you money for something else. We said, no, we want to do this, and can you give us something called as a tinkering lab? And they said, okay, funny, this is not in our mandate, abhi aapko kya karna hai? I said, sir, ye to bahut zaruri hai, this is important. So then they said, okay, now you tell us that if you can, I gave them a 5 crore proposal, and they said, give 2 point, you match it. I said, okay, I'll match it with 2.5, you give me 2.5. So we showed the lab and everything, got the 2.5, and that was the seed money, and then later on Alune pumped a little bit more money. And by the time we brought everything, put it in place, and finally we have to find a person to essentially take it because people were not really married to the idea of how this thing works, and it should work 24/7, cannot be just from 9 to 5. So we finally found Ram, who has a hands-on experience, and he's supposed to be the expert on it. So we put machines from electrical engineering to power to electronics. We had a 24-layer PCB machine, we had a cutting machine, we have laser jet cutting machine, we have a CNC machine, all these where the kids can actually come and do something, whenever they want to do for competitions. Then we pushed all that, and then we also said, the Dean R&D, everybody says, these guys used to run around, S&T Club used to run around trying to get money. They come to Dora, sir, hame itna chahiye. Half the time they're running around getting their money. I said, what are you guys doing? I mean, you guys should give about a couple of crores. Just give them blindly saying that this is your budget. Go spend the thing. You have a structure in place, build something, win competitions. You don't need to run around. So we finally cajoled the Dean R&D and the current director, who is also our alumnus, and they said, okay, let's give 2 crores and then our 1.5 crores. Let them spend. No need to run around and do this. Now the final icing on the cake is that this model which we have worked in IIT Kanpur and experimented now is now the national policy which is put in place by DST to support tinkering labs in all over the country. In anybody, the DST is giving the money for the tinkering lab, this whole model where we are working. So now we said we don't want to be tinkering lab, so reinvented the name and called it Imagineering Lab. Yes. So now that's the trivia for this, and thank you.
Yeah. So we also develop biomedical products. So recently one of the product which we got a patent was as and when the phlegm gets accumulated in the chest, if it is not a big sum, if it's slowly getting accumulated, the current state of the art in India is we used to put a paramedic, he or she used to inject it and then slowly pull out a syringe and remove these phlegm which is getting accumulated. So we have devised an equipment which has been tested, and we have also got a patent on it. This is one of the biomedical devices also we do.
Oh,
so
he forgot to tell you, he also invented the stair climbing wheelchair. That also he has.
Stair climbing wheelchair.
Yeah, a stair climbing wheelchair. So, and one company actually gave him now additional CSR funding to further refine it. Portiscap.
So,
thanks to alumni who have been generously supporting us, because what we can support and what we always expect from alumni is the consumable part. Because students try once, it fails second time, third time, fourth time. So that's where alumni, we request and they have been generous in giving us the consumable part. That's all Capital Institute gives, Ministry gives. But the consumable part is something which we are always looking for alumni to support in how much money we have.
Day after tomorrow morning. Anyway, you've heard Dr. Siddharth Panda, you've heard Ram Kumar. So you can see the amount of energy and enthusiasm in what they are doing in IIT Kanpur. I just want to mention, take forward what Dr. Fani said. In a recent interview that Rajiv Kumar of Niti Aayog, head of Niti Aayog gave, he said that today there are 3,000 tinkering labs. So I think this is an IIT Kanpur initiative which has already been scaled up, 3,000 of them. And the idea started here. So the next speaker we have is Rahul Patel. He's from the Incubation Center. So another very high energy, high activity center that's happening in IIT Kanpur.
As you can see, Professor Amitabh Bandyopadhyay is right now the professor in charge of the incubation innovation. He couldn't be here. He had to go to Lucknow for some of the initiatives that we are taking. So he had a meeting with the Agriculture Secretary of UP government. So I am here on his behalf. I look after mostly in the partnerships and the new initiatives that the incubation center is taking up. So I'll just give you a quick walk through what we have been doing through the incubation center. Professor Fani has been in charge of incubation center, establishing it and nurturing it for almost 8-9 years, if I'm not wrong. Then Professor Samir Khandekar took charge of it for 3 years, and then now recently Professor Amitabh Bandyopadhyay is in charge of it. We have a fully fledged social incubator, bio incubator, and a textile incubator inside the incubation center. We are one of the best incubation center in a technology institute in India. Right now, our portfolio comprises of 60 plus startups. And most of these startups, out of the total 60, half of these startups are either from the alumni of IIT Kanpur, from the faculties of IIT Kanpur, or from the current students of IIT Kanpur, which is by far biggest from any of the institutions in India. We have a lot of different grants, different schemes that we run, which takes you from anywhere from the ideation up to the startup phase from the incubation. So MCIT, TDB, NSTDB, so a lot of names, not going to get into details. So EIL is recently, so EIL grant is also something which is only for the IIT Kanpur, opened up. So EIL has a Startup Innovation Challenge and a Startup Scale-up Fund, which is open to only to IIT Kanpur faculties, alumni, and student-led companies. So this is just some of the numbers of the companies which I'll go through. So this, like I told you, 50% of the companies are coming from the IIT Kanpur ecosystem. Rest of the companies are coming from outside IIT Kanpur. So we believe the incubation space needs a solution integrator. That is what the incubation center is. In this trigonal, entrepreneurial spirit is the alumni, students, the faculties. Rest of these things we already have in the IIT Kanpur ecosystem. So what we don't have is the experience and the exposure of the industries, which obviously comes from the alumni. So that is the fourth quadrant that we would like to have involved in the incubator. Shrikant Sastry is one of the alumni, I think from the 78 batch or 77 batch. So he is very actively working with us. Recently, one of the campaign that we run with the BIRAC, Biotechnology Ignition Grant, over there for each application that we received, one of our alumni was the solution mentor, which helped to refine the grant application that every applicant does, every innovator does, which does not happen at anywhere in India. So at least in this phase, we have been the best, and alumni support has been awesome. One of the new things that is coming up is Alumni Innovation Fellowship, which again Shrikant Sastry is championing. So over there, he is trying to bring some fund to support the very early stage, idea stage innovations that are coming from the IIT Kanpur ecosystem, be it students, faculty, or the alumni. So that is something where I would, love to see contribution from each of you. Apart from it, so a lot of initiatives we have been taking up. I'll just, briefly talk about one initiative which is, very dear to us, is the Tech Talk with a Doc. That is how it started in the biospace. And now we are, taking it up further with Tech Talk and with X. And this X could be a doctor, a policy maker, a local administration head, some minister, any domain which needs a solution from an engineering side will come up here, talk about their challenges, will have the students listen to them, the faculties listen to them, and form a solution. So Professor Ram Kumar has developed a very nice device for the bio thing, which came out of such one talk which we held with SGPGI doctors. And there is a Stanford bioimmersion program which happens with IIT Delhi under Stanford, which is again came from the Stanford, but we have developed something similar of our own, where we are engaging SGPGI, KGMU Lucknow as the problems, where the problems are coming from the medical side. Our engineering background and the alumni and the overall knowledge base that we have helps in refining those problems into bringing the solution. Some of the success stories I am sure some of you will be aware about. I'll just quickly go through with 2 or 3 of them. CuraDave is a company which was working into cancer-related drug molecules. They got one of the best partnership agreement from Roche, which was up to $550 million, which is the biggest success story in biopharma from any incubation center across the globe. This was like faculty and research students of IIT Kanpur coming up and forming a company, getting incubated here. Professor Fani was the incubation head by that time. eSpin is another big name, so eSpin is the company which I'm not sure how many of you were in the press conference. So the mask and the eSpin. So it is coming from a research which was being developed in a lab. An IIT Kanpur alumni faculty were involved, formed a company. Their filters are being used into Tata's Swachh Desire Plus, which comes for the filtration of water. And now they have developed something which is using nanofibers, a mask which will simply provide the pure air out of the dense air, and which will be comparatively to the current available mask will be roughly 50% or 60% cheaper. Help Us Green is another feather in our cap, which I'm not sure if some of you have heard. They have been winning awards like anything in last 6 months. So they have won 3 UN awards in last 6 months. They have been working with the flower waste that we throw around temples and Ganges. Using those flower waste, they started with making dhoop-battis and agarbattis, and then using the IIT Kanpur's lab facilities, they have been able to develop a replacement of styrofoam, which is purely biodegradable, and they call it fluoroform, which has been taken up by 3 enterprises, Tata, Luminous, and one more, which I can't name because of their NDAs, for initial pilot testings. They have recently raised around 5 to 6 CR amount of money from Tata Draper Fisher, which is like one of the best names that you can name up in early stage investments in R&D technologies. Then we have ProSoc. I can send you. I won't bore you with this entire thing. I'll send across probably a brief of all these companies and all the awesome work that they are doing, so that don't get bored. Yeah, and that would be, and so we'll look forward from your side, to come up with all the experience that you have from the industrial, what you have been doing for last 30, 40 years, which will be very, very helpful to all the innovators that are coming from the IIT Kanpur ecosystem or from the outside towards incubation center of IIT Kanpur. With that, I would like to take a pause and just leave it to.
Oh, thank you. Rahul, thanks a lot. Yeah, great. He's done. So the trivia here is that we have 11 incubators and we have 5 prototype development and testing laboratories which are not related to the IITK academic system. This is purely on the startup side. We have one of the largest startup ecosystem in terms of space. We have T-Hubs, people say that is large. No, we are larger than them. And right now we are going to around another 400,000 square feet. We already have 100,000 square feet space. 60 companies which he has done, many of them are alumnus and non-alumnus. Some of them have done phenomenally well, and the thing is when they do phenomenally well, we hold equity. Essentially now, any company comes here, it has to give us 3%. Any company which is a faculty company gives us 13%. So one of the success stories also is Deepak Gupta's venture from Flex Electronics, that anti-counterfeiting one. So I think a combined wealth in terms of equity which we hold could be anywhere around 50 to 100 crores as of today in all these companies. So we are pretty big in that. So, and we are also in the social space quite a bit. We have some 35 companies in the social space. So we want to go into, we have a new assembly park coming up. So it's a post-incubation and also for larger companies to come in. And most probably we will be the one of the largest, I mean, we are already the largest innovation hub. The problem with many of our guys complain to me saying that we don't know anything of that, but you should actually go on our social media, which is pretty active now. But yes, we are Kanpur. IIT Kanpur has a culture of being very, very modest, and they think that people should recognize us. But this is a digital era. Unless you go and, beat your chest and then say, ki, itna bhi kiya to itna kiya, so batana padega. So our current director has that, penchant for making it big, and is very active on Twitter and all this social media. So even in the social media space, in LinkedIn and others, we are the highest in terms of our coverage in whatever we do. So we are really doing good. We are great. And hopefully we'll go back to the one place where we are supposed to be, have been dislodged. But even there in research, we are still the number one. So hopefully with all the other stuff, we could go there in a couple of years, maybe next year or so. And then nobody can dislodge us. So you should feel happy about it. Thank you very much.
Well, the head of Imagineering, I introduced him as just by his name, Dr. Ramkumar. But Dr. Ramkumar is actually a professor. He holds a chair, and he's in the mechanical engineering department. So I apologize for that small faux pas.
And all this ecosystem which we built up with this 4 lakh and all, nothing came from IIT, within the IIT system. It was where you went out, brought the grants, pitched for this, and raised almost 200 crores to build this ecosystem in the last 10 years. So that is how we built this. So it was a big achievement for us.
Anyway, so the last speaker we have for the day is Professor Shalab. And I tried to get him to give me his surname or second name, and he says he doesn't have one. So I kind of dug a little more, and I discovered that though he's not from the backward caste, not from the scheduled caste, he's decided to drop his caste name. The surname which defines his caste, he's actually dropped it. So I think this is again a precedent that we need to replicate or follow. So apparently in the US, for what Social Security, they need 2 names. So in the US, his name is, in the Social Security system, his name is Shalab. But on his passport, there's only 1 name. The other thing that I'll mention, well, he's going to tell us how the ranking system works. So that is what we've called him here for. But he was also the person who led the team to computerize the joint entrance examinations. So this time in 2018, IIT Kanpur led the initiative to do what they call computer-based testing, CBT.
Yeah, actually, what happened that if you remember all this joint entrance examination, that was a pen and paper-based examination. And government was asking for the last couple of years that how long you will go with this mode, and why don't you go with the computerized mode. But our basic problem was that, we had more than 2 lakhs students who are appearing in a single day. And in a country like India, we do not have facilities, or I would say that we were not confident that we had sufficient facilities to conduct the examination in a single day. because setting up a question paper of JEE standard is not an easy job, and you cannot have, say, 2 sets of question paper or 5 sets of question paper. So then last year, yes, that was the 2017 concluding meeting. And and the secretary of MHRD, he was there, and he said, yeah, why don't you go for this computer-based test mode? Then as usual, means nobody wants to venture into those things because that's a very high risk zone. And being in IT Kanpur, this is our weakest part, that when they try to hit on the ego, means when I have to get the work for my student, I will say, you are in IT Kanpur, if you cannot do, then who else will do? And he hurted my ego. And then we said, okay, we will do it. And at that time, means I was appointed here to teach statistics. Means I know statistics, I had no experience of conducting the computer-based test mode. 1 year before, I was the vice chairman of JEE. And this time I was going to be the organizing chairman, and it was a big task, but then I said, I asked myself, if at IT Kanpur I cannot do it, then who will do it at which place in this world? And believe me, I'm telling you from my bottom of the heart, this was the sentence which came out of my heart, and I raised my hand, yes, we will do it. And everybody, all my colleagues, they were looking at me, and they could not believe me. They thought that, okay, it was well-planned game. I said, no, he has hurt my ego that I'm in IT Kanpur, and he cannot say like this that who will do it. And we did it, and this was the first time that it was conducted in such a big, huge level. And the best part was that it was completely error-free. There was not even a single problem. And this led to the government of India took the decision now from this year, most of their examination, they have just converted them into computer-based test mode. No exam is now going to be based on pen and paper mode. So that was the big success that we had being at IIT Kanpur actually. That was the thing. So means since you were asking for what IIT Kanpur has done, so this was another initiative that was taken by IIT Kanpur to change the entire examination pattern at this country level. Right. And then secondly, I would echo the sentiments given by Pradeep. Before, means I was also the Associate Dean of Hall Affairs, and I will confirm that the Hall 2 and Hall 3 relationship is continuing exactly in the same way what it used to continue 25 years back. And believe me, this was the most difficult task for me to handle. Between Hall 2 and Hall 3, I do not know, all of them come together, they go into the hall in the same way, but something is there. I would like to ask these seniors of 1969 batch what you had done. What a seat you have given there. And believe me, their actions are so kiddish sometimes. Means they are having a championship, and then, this is a championship in the institute. No, this is a championship between Hall 2 and Hall 3. I said, why you are bringing it Hall 2 and Hall 3? And they become so sentimental, and they will try to do the actions. For example, I can share with the real example that happened. Means Hall 2 or Hall 3, one of them win. And other students, means I was there at 2 o'clock in the night that nothing should happen, so they could not do anything. But then finally what they did, 20 students went on the boundary wall of the hall and they started doing susu. Believe me, this was a real story, and my goodness. So I will just say with all due respect, yes, that culture is still continuing. Those feelings are still the same what they used to be 25 years back, or possibly you can tell me 50 years back. So, but yeah. So now I will come to my talk, and let me share my true feeling. I remember that when I used to get the marks of my examination, and suppose I have got 95 marks out of 100. So when I used to enter into my home, the biggest fear was my mom. Why? fathers are, you know, that they are always simple, means I'm also a simple father and you are also simple father. Moms are difficult to handle. I did not have the answer that when she will ask me, where are those 5 marks? Nobody cares that you have got a 95 out of 100 marks, but possibly where are those 5 marks? And she will have the first, okay, this time, okay, you have lost 5 marks, so next time you have to work for these 5 marks. She will never talk of those, whether you have got 95 marks or not. Well, she said that, okay, if I say appreciate your 95 marks, then this word will not do it. So you have to choose who will appreciate your 95 marks, inside family or say outside family. So she decided that, okay, that has to be appreciated by outside family, and this is how I was grown up. So I'm standing at the same place where I have got 95 marks out of 100, and now I am within my family, and I would try to present the report card, and definitely I would seek your advice and guidance that, that what we can do. And believe me, at this stage, in totality, I can say, yes, we are not doing actually bad. We are doing fairly well, but now the competition is among the best people. So we are striking there. So basically, as I said, I am basically a professor in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, and essentially I am from statistics. So that was the reason that 2 months back, the director asked me, okay, but why don't you people know how to jumble with the data, how to play with the data, why don't you come into this business? So, so they had given me this job, and with me I have Dr. Tanima Hazara. She is the in charge of this cell who is looking after collecting all the data, and she has helped me in preparing this presentation because she has all the data from different agencies and she collects the data from various offices. So, well, in this slide, I am simply trying to give you here the standing of IIT Kanpur in the last couple of years by different agencies. So as you know, means this is the IIT Kanpur culture. Who cares for the ranking? We are the best and we are the best. That's all. So for the couple of years, I am also part of that faculty who used to be very, very proud of being in the IIT Kanpur. But that proud was there, but we know that after some time, when people started judging us on the basis of ranking, then we became a little bit careful. So it was this QS ranking based on the World University that was started in 2015, and that in 2015, this IIT Kanpur was a 300 rank. And then the rank was fluctuating around 300, and at this moment we are at the 283 rank in the QS world ranking. And in the case of QS ranking based on the Asian institutes, we are in the 61 rank at this moment, because that was also started in 2015. So 2015, 52, 58, and so on. And then means QS also started the ranking of Indian university system. So that was started in 2019 only, and at present we are in the 6th position, and IIT Bombay is at the 1st position. Similarly, this Times World University ranking also started, and they are trying to give the ranks in the forms of interval. So in 2016, we were in the group of 500 to 600, and similar is continuing at this stage also. And recently in 2016, the MHRD set up this National Institute of Ranking Federation, NIRF, and they started also giving the rank because they saw that because QS is a private firm, they are trying to do this ranking business for all over the world. So they also started doing the ranking system for the Indian institutes and Indian universities. So they started in 2016, and in 2016 and 17 and 18, we are still holding the 7th rank. But this is the overall rank, means all institute, all universities, and all colleges, and so on. And particularly from the engineering institute, means IT is being the engineering institute, we are holding the 5th position up to now, up to last year. And for 2019, we have just submitted the data a couple of weeks back. So their outcome is yet to come. So, so now what I will do here, that because these things are based on a very heterogeneous group. Because the system of IIT is not really comparable with the system of university. They have many courses, arts, science, law, biology, but we have only some faculties, some departments only, and they are only of a specific type. So I will be showing you here basically from the engineering background. That makes more sense. And I have taken the data from, say, these different IITs. Right, and basically I'm considering those 5 to 7 older IITs which used to be there, because newer IITs will take some time to come forward. So now I will try to concentrate on this NIRF data, and first I will try to give you the quick introduction that what are the parameters based on that they are trying to create the ranking. First thing I can just share with you, this MHRD asked us to submit the data. They have a questionnaire, they have some tables, and they ask us to submit the data in that format. And then they have some scoring system. They have some formula. Based on that, they try to give us the ranking. That formula is not known to us. That is only with them. But they have given us a brief idea that how they are going to do it and what are the different factors they are going to consider and with what weight. So there are 5 factors, 5 parameters which they are trying to consider. First is the teaching, learning, and resources, and they are trying to give 30% weight to this. And yeah, means it has 4 parameters: student strength, including the doctoral students, faculty-student ratio, and they emphasize on the permanent faculty. And they have a faculty with PhD and experience. Based on that, they try to combine, they try to create their own combined metric. How they do it, that they don't tell us. And then how much budget we had, how it was utilized. And the second one is the research and professional practices, for which they give 30% weight. And then in this case, they have some metric for the publication. They try to check the publications which are recorded at 2 places. One is Scopus and another is Above Science. And they don't ask us to give us the list, but they themselves will take up the list from those websites. Right, and then they have some criteria on the based on the quality of publication, then IPR, patents, and different types of things and projects and executive development program, what we are trying to do. They have these types of different parameters on which we provide them the data, right? And then the third one is the graduation outcome, and they give it 20% weight to this thing. And this contains of various factors like placement, how many students are going for higher studies, how many students are going for entrepreneurship, and what is really happening with the examination, how many students are appearing, how many students are passing, how many students are placed, and then for the placement, what is the median salary, and the number of PhD students, how much you have graduated, how much time they have taken, and so on. Right, and after the fourth one is the outreach and inclusivity, which has 10% weight. And in this parameter, they try to see that how many students are coming from your state, from outside state, within country, outside country, and so on. They try to see how many women faculty, staff, and administrator are there in the institute, how many students are there in the economically and socially challenged, like SC, ST, OBC categories students, and what are the different types of facilities for the physically challenged students. Right, so these are the things which are considered in the fourth parameter, and in the fifth and the last parameter is perception, and they give 10% of weight. They don't ask us, but they will send emails to different people all over the country, and they will ask them to take a survey, and based on the survey, they try to generate a score. Right, so these are the 5 parameters which are 5 main parameters which are being considered by the MHRD to provide the rank. So if I just want to give you a comparative score out of 100, which the MHRD has given after doing all those data processing. So you can see here, if I say here at this IIT Kanpur, means this is standing at the 10th position with respect to the scores on teaching, learning, and resources, and which is being given 30% weight. And IT Madras is at the highest with 93.83. And these scores have been standardized to be out of 100. Right. And similarly, when I come to the research and professional practices, the scores of IT Bombay, they are at the highest with 96.04, and IT Kanpur is being at the 5th position with 77.15 score. And score of this graduation outcomes, in this case, we stand in the 5th position, and there is nobody in the green, which is indicating the 5th, because IT Roorkee has the first rank in this case. And when we come on the scores on the outreach and inclusivity, then IT Madras is having the score of 63.88 among all the ITs, which is the highest. And we are here at IT Kanpur, we are at a 441 rank actually, pretty low. And then the scores on the perception, if you try to see, IT Madras has got the 100% score, whereas we are having 85.89% scores, and we are at the 4th position. And then based on that, they try to take a combined average, combined mean of all those things, like as 30% into 93.83, plus 30% into 91.44, and they try to give us this score. And based on this, these final scores, they try to rank us. So after doing all those things, we are at the 5th position, having a total final score of 75.23. Yes, so that I will show you that, that there are, actually what I have done, there are some factors which are in our control, some factors which are not in control, and we always have to keep in mind, actually, when I look at the template of the MHRD which gives us to prepare the data, that itself is very confusing, and different ITs might be giving a wrong data. This is also possible, and even this time I saw that the data which we had given last year, that was not correct, because it was giving us much lower ranking, but the way they are asking the data means our institute ranking would have been much more higher. So we have requested them to replace the data and give us the new ranking for the last year. So these types of things are quite possible. So that means whatever we are trying to do, that may not exactly be what they want to be in the ranking system. And yeah, I mean, Karima is there for a very long time. Possibly she can also address if I am unable to address these things. Yeah, sure. Right. And then for this teaching, learning, and resources, there is a 30% weight. And you can see here, these are the scores which have been opted, and you can see these scores are not differing much among the different ITs, 18.52, and we are at 17.09, and there is a valid reason, because for example, in this column, you can see the total number of students in the ITs, and inside the bracket, this is the total number of PhD students. Right, because number of students who are coming for the UG program through JEE, that is actually fixed, you cannot do much. So that is the PhD program which has to be more attractive, and it depends on the student that where he wants to take an admission. In JEE, he doesn't have much choice whether he wants to go to IT Kanpur or say IT Bombay, because that depends on his actually